Right, I'm delighted to be back here, day 2, with Zoran. We've been here at the Dimensions Method Level 1 training course for people who are interested in this bioenergy healing. And one of the things that was really fascinating for me yesterday, first of all, thank you for inviting me along, yesterday seeing people from all over the world who've come here, people from Ireland, people from India, and all sorts of places. Does this happen all the time?
Yeah, it does. It's funny how, people hear about us basically on the net, and they come from literally, all over the world. The least locals come. It's funny, we're in London and there's just a couple of Londoners here, the rest of them come from all over the world. And this happens every place we go.
So everywhere, it's just been from, and it seems to be largely word of mouth, and people have heard stories from friends who've come along here. Is that typically what happens?
It's typically what people heard from somebody that had a treatment,
right.
And with the results being so great, they let other people know, and they want to learn it so they can, do this. But it's usually from the results, and then goes by word of mouth, or they see other videos or something like that.
Cool.
But basically, we don't. The big media is not really supporting us
yet.
Yet.
And I think this is interesting. I mean, one of the things that's been interesting, because I was sat in this day and today, is that, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the nature of the actual healing, because I think lots of people will be, fascinated and curious. It seems that there's a lot to do with energy fields, and a lot of the work seems to be, placing hands by the particular area, wherever it is that somebody, is feeling a particular kind of an ailment. Tell me just a little bit, for those people who are just curious in a real nutshell about the nature of it, and it seems to me that lots of different healings, again, uses, whether some people talk about chakras, some people talk about energy fields and so on. Tell us a little bit in a nutshell about the essence of the healing.
It's all the same, there's this one energy, whether you call it chi, prana, life force, Holy Spirit, nature, divine, whatever you want to call it, is that one thing that gives us life. And the way it actually works is that our biofield, because we all have biofields, everything that's alive has a biofield.
So this is a whole
what do you call it? Aura. The flowers have aura, the stones have aura. So our biofield affects the other person's biofield. So we use certain techniques that enables us, that makes our biofield more coherent, and then affects the other biofield and changes things. We don't do it. It's actually the energy does it through us. We are just, when you say channeling, that has other connotations as well, we're just conduits for it. And this is what's important, to understand that this is why everybody can do it, because it's not us doing it.
And I think this is what's really interesting, isn't it? It seems that most of the people who come here, and that seems to be the message, that there's lots of people who themselves, they are personally curious. They're not necessarily scientists, they're not necessarily doctors, they're not necessarily professional healers and trainers, but that there's something in them that's calling them for it, or that they've got a loved one. Because it seems that lots of things are kind of almost, healing is somebody else's business. It's almost like it's not something that you can necessarily do. So we should show up to the doctor. Do you know what I mean? There's something.
Yeah, it's people expect, or they've been told, they've been taught that way, that somebody else will take care of it.
Right.
And it's not true, because it is your health. It's your responsibility. So our body has a self-healing ability, and everybody has that. So I can only sort of facilitate that self-healing potential of your body. And that's what I do. But you have to do it. So nobody can do it for you.
Right.
And nobody can take that responsibility.
Right.
But people were taught a different way, so that's why they go for help to somebody. But they still, even if they come to me, whether they're aware of it or not, it's their own responsibility to do it. And they are the only one capable of doing it.
Right.
I don't heal. Your body is the only one that can heal itself.
Right.
Your body can heal itself.
Right, sure. So making people far more conscious about that, taking more, regaining that ownership. And then there's something else beautiful that seems to be happening in that, because you're getting people to work, that somebody will work on the other, or you might get people who are mother and daughters and so on, so that they can be working, because it seems that you get people to, will be working
it puts the responsibility back into themselves, and it literally put your health back into your own hands.
Yeah.
I mean, pun intended.
Yeah, literally, because there's a lot of, as you said, hand, and why is that? Why is that? So you talked about the aura biofields, whatever people want to call it, and then the use of the hand.
See, this is just a technique. It's obviously whatever will cause that transformation in a person that will kick in the self-healing. It can be done probably in many ways, but the way we use it, the technique we use it, is structured in such a way that everybody can do it. So this is why this makes it possible for you to be a healer, for me to be a healer. Obviously, there's other ways of achieving the same thing, and self-healing, it's achieved in a different way. It's achieved through your way of life. But if you're not capable of doing it yourself, we devised, or Mr. Mantra devised, a technique how we can start that self-healing process into self. And this is why we use those specific techniques. We put the hands here or there, and we have other moves that we use, and that only that starts your immune system to work properly. Which is not just what the doctors think of immune system. It's the immune system it's your aura, it's our energy body. The information about the healing is in this energy, and we just devised a way of how to get that energy into you. And this is what you can learn.
Right.
There's nothing, we can't explain it.
Yeah.
Because even if we did, and if it was true, you would believe it or not.
Yeah, and I quite like the fact that, and one of the things that you talked about earlier on today is to get people to leave all of their thoughts and all that kind of logic to one side, because somebody's only got what knowledge it is that they've got, and in order that they're able to connect, receive, be open.
You have to, as a healer, you have to distance yourself from what you're doing, because you're not doing it. But this way you will not pollute the information that comes through, and with its energy. So this energy is information.
And I want to ask a little bit about, you've got all these people here from all sorts of different parts of the world, and all sorts of people who perhaps haven't necessarily found help or healing or comfort in what they may well have tried before. What for you is that you're looking to achieve? Are you wanting to open the door to new possibilities of people being able to be more aware, mindful, conscious of their own healing? For you, what's it about? I get the feeling it's a bit about, again, bringing back that energy, literally, as you said, back into people's own hands.
Yeah, self-responsibility. And so what my goal is to make them aware that this is not somebody else's, this is not a magic bullet, this is what the person, it's innate in us. We all can heal ourselves, but we learned how to help them with that. And once people understand that it's not, they don't have to, I mean, there's a place and time for everything, for medicine, for science, or whatever. But things are much simpler in the universe. They're very structured, but they're much simpler than people believe, that they were made to believe. So what we are trying to do is to get their awareness up to that this is simply, you can do it yourself, and you are the only one that can change yourself. I cannot change you. You can change yourself. And
what I found interesting is how there are people here who have come along. They were speaking to somebody earlier on, and they had some challenges. That mother had been along, someone else is talking about other people who've been along, and that they're then eyes open to this new way of. And lots of people think there's a warmth and a possibility. Whereas usually when you go to lots of places, you go to a hospital, go here, people seem a little bit divorced from their own health or to a doctor's surgery. It's quite interesting and different.
See, this is why when you go to Mr. Manch's clinic, it's always done in a group.
Right.
Because in that group, there's nothing, people are told, I don't know why, that this is, something very private and stuff. We don't talk about people's problems that they have. It doesn't, it's still your private thing. It's just that once you see how everybody gets better, and nobody's talking about their problems, they're only seeing the solutions. So when you go, do you see people having a good time in a waiting room of oncology or something? Here, everybody's having fun. Everybody is relaxed. You cannot start healing yourself if you're not relaxed.
Yeah, and I think there's something else that you were saying that's also very powerful. When you're talking about that self-responsibility, it suddenly struck me as you were saying that from lots of people's early experience, if they've been lucky enough to have a positive experience, somebody, mother and child, there's that natural connection, warmth, and that trust in terms of that healing. Oh, I've fallen over. Mummy or daddy will give them a kiss. They smile. There's a warmth.
They put their hands on the boo.
Yeah.
It's all in us. We knew all that. We just forgot or were told to forget.
Right.
We all were using. This is not a new technique. Just the way the technology, the manipulation of the energy, the way Mr. Dimanche structured it is relatively new. It's about 40 years old. But that's new in people's minds. But it's all the ancient knowledge. But this knowledge gives you power. And a lot of people, including Buddhist monks and everybody, they were keeping that to themselves because knowledge gives you power. Right. And this is the ego that works and has worked for millennia.
And I wonder, do you feel that this is one of the challenges that we have when it comes to healing more broadly, that for it seems for so long we've divided it, this, that, when it's just, as you say, life force. So do you think that it's that we've had science over here, we've had religion over here, we've had this over there, we've had, all sorts of spiritual movements. Do you think that that's what actually makes it far more complicated and why?
But the funny thing about this is that medicine, or all this is not all that long. They talk about traditional medicine as being the medicine. No, it's only 100 years old. 1911. We know exactly when things were. Before the medical schools and medical system was developed about 100 years ago. But of course, with the help of pharmaceuticals, they had enormous support, financial support, to become a norm and to push out all the other things. Even the rest of this, it's all from the Industrial Revolution on. It's 200 years. It's not all at all, but the media is very strong. And we forget that actually this kind of approach to medicine as it is in the West, it's only a matter of West. There's a lot of other places, but we always think here, we think Great Britain, we think America, we think Europe, Western Europe, and that's what we accept. But no, it's all very old. It's all very young.
Well, wonderful. Let's ask somebody who's been on one of your wonderful courses, who's in the room. I'm going to ask if she'll join us. Do you want to just?
Sophia,
come and join us.
Tell Rasheed why you're here and what fascinates you. So why did you come again? Why are you here?
Yes, Sophie, how did you first hear about bioenergy healing and about the Dimanche's method, and what attracted you to it?
Okay, so I am a therapist, and I've been trained in something called polarity therapy. And as many professional therapists, we received all sorts of emails because people organizing training, quite rightly, think that we are a potential public. So I get probably one email a week or a month telling me about this workshop and that workshop, and I usually delete them before reading. Something in it, I can't tell you exactly what, maybe because there was a reference to the video that can be seen, really attracted me. And then I've seen the video, which is called Think About It. And I was really, really hooked. And what added to it was I had no idea that Zoran and Stephanie were really filmmakers, but I thought this is done so professionally. So that was it. And I think I came to, it was a second?
Probably the second,
second training in London. And yes, I've done it then, but for various reasons I didn't really started using this healing in a big way.
Right. So you first of all, you were a healer therapist yourself. You were curious and interested in this.
Yeah.
And did you find that there were personal benefits in terms of the healing for you when you came along?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And that's what I'm leading to. I think that what I needed was this time in between when I received, especially last year, when I have received quite a lot of healing.
Right.
And I feel that I'm now much more ready and I want to do the level 2.
Right. Now I was chatting to somebody else here who was with you before. They said they've noticed a change in you in terms of you talking about stature and how you were.
Yeah, and I think that probably, and Sarah may agree, that what really stopped me from doing it in a successful way before was doubt and too much thinking. And now as I hear, the teachings for the second time, I really can reflect on it. On my personal level, I didn't have anything drastic like that. I couldn't move my hand and I can. But it's much more subtle. It's kind of my general sense of well-being really improved. And I feel calmer, more centered, happier. I sleep better, and I always tended to slouch, and now I feel that it's effortless to be straight, as if my back just supports me better. And my friends, they're also body workers, they really notice it. So I think that's my story, and I hope it's not the end of the story.
Well, that's wonderful, and let's end on that. Tell me, so what are you wanting from now? So you're already a healer, you're already a therapist, you're already there, and you're already helping people. You've felt the benefits of this. What are you wanting to achieve? Because I get a feeling, and maybe this is a good point to bring Zoran to bring you back into it. Different people seem to come here for different reasons. Some people it's the personal, their own healing. Other people seem to be on another journey. Well, tell us a little bit about what's...
Everybody has their own journey, and they come for their whatever reasons they are. What is interesting, what I see through all these years, that their path changes.
Right.
All of a sudden, they usually resolve those reasons why they came here for, but then things open up for them. And I always say the first day, and it's sometimes people are shocked and says, this is a life-changing experience. You will not be the same person after you leave this seminar. And they're not. And a lot of them, somebody knows right away, somebody knows but doubts and whatever, and then comes back and sees that this actually is the thing. So I think this is what happened to you. And it doesn't matter, we're not all the same, we don't require certain results with changing you, but it will change you, because healing happens as a transformation of the way you think and act on an unconscious level. So this is what happened. You become a different person. My life changed completely.
Yeah, your life took completely changed, isn't it?
Because not just professionally. You're not defined just by what you do.
Yeah.
This is the Western way of looking at it. But I am a different person. My priorities are different.
So that's a lovely note to kind of close on. It sounds as though that, and I certainly know my own case for the work that I did. When I moved from one thing to actually helping people, it's a different kind of healing. It's the same. Well, it's the same stuff, isn't it? Healing. Suddenly you can't help but to be doing it. It's so...
Because you suddenly, whether you're aware of it or not, realize that your own growth comes only from helping others. But so when people take courses of self-help courses and self-growth courses, that's a misnomer. That's an oxymoron. You cannot that's ego-oriented in the word self-healing. It's about yourself. It's not. You will heal and you will grow.
And how wonderful that is if we could bring that into whatever anyone calls it, health, healing, any kind of setting, how magical that will be. So I just want to kind of thank you for sharing your story. Zoran, thank you for inviting me along. And I just want to end it there. I'm going to invite my very good friend who's cameraman. Not as good as if we'd had the former cinematographer to do it herself.
But here it is, the new healer, Rasheed.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you.
All right.